Okay, so we're going to make a lentil dal. So I'm making it with red lentils. I've also made this with mung beans, which comes out really nicely. I've had those soaking for a couple of hours, but red lentils are great. They're split red lentils because you don't actually need to soak them. But it should speed up the cooking time. And I've got a couple of bay leaves in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. So I'm going to put that on to start cooking. And then we want to get the leeks and onions going, and then we're going to mix up some spices and some cumin and coriander. So what we're going to use is we've got cumin seed and we've got coriander seed and fenugreek, and I'm going to blend those up together to make a kind of curry spice mix. And then I've got fresh turmeric, ginger, garlic. I'm going to make a paste with that. So that gives a nice flavour. You can not cheat, but you can make an easier version by just using a curry powder that you like. That's okay. So what I'm going to do, got creamed coconut here. You can see that's the oil there. It's a different density. So I'm going to use that for my cooking oil. So I'll cut that off, pop it in the pan. There we go. And then the fun job of cutting up the onions and leeks. So with leeks, do use as much of the green as you can. Always get. There's no reason why you wouldn't use it. Actually, I think it's a bit like spring onions. People sometimes only use the white, which seems a bit daft to me. Green stuff is good. It's also a vegetable. Why would you throw it away? It's the leeks on it. So we'll just let those cook while we do the rest. First of all, we'll do a spice blend. Use half of it. Same amount of cumin. So this is very approximate. And I would say 1, 2, maybe 3. Fenugreek's got a nice flavour. And then I'm going to whiz that up. Equal quantities of cumin, coriander, and fenugreek. Obviously, you don't have to do this. You can have a ready-made mix or one of your own. So this is just a bog standard cheap old coffee grinder. I think they cost about 10 £15, and doesn't get used for coffee, it gets used for spices and for my black pepper, which I do in batches. So that will be going in when the onions are cooked. Put that to one side for the moment. So the next thing we're going to do is the turmeric and ginger mix. Should just give that a rinse. So I leave the skin on. This is organic, so I think probably if it wasn't organic, I might peel it. But I think if it's organic, you're always going to get more if you leave the peel on, as long as it's in reasonable condition. That one looks okay. So chop it into rough chunks, and we're going to whiz it up in the NutriBullet in a minute. Make it nice and gingery. As I said, I like to have a lot of flavour. I don't like it to be bland. So that's quite a lot of ginger and turmeric gone in there. And we're going to put some garlic. And then we'll put a little bit of water with it and whiz it all up into a paste. And then that goes into the onions when they're cooked. So we've got the lentils cooking here, so they're just beginning to get frothy. I'm just going to give them a bit of a stir. They won't take long now. One thing you do have to watch for when you're cooking lentils is that they can very easily boil over, and then you get this horrible frothy, sticky stuff all over your cooker. So you do have to keep an eye on it. I can almost guarantee that's what's going to happen here. Well, I hope not. And peel the garlic. Yeah, some of it's not that great. Put the stalks in as well. I don't know for sure, but I do. Given that we sprout various seeds to eat in salads and things like that, I think that maybe that's a good thing. I would be interested if anybody knows different. Garlic, onions, and leeks are very good prebiotic foods, so they will help to encourage good bacteria in your gut. Prebiotic means it's the food that the good bacteria feed on. Beneficial bacteria, I should say. We have a whole mix of bacteria in our gut, and like so many things, diversity and variety is the key. So it's thought that the more diverse your gut microbiome, the colonies in your gut, the better indicator of health that is. If you think about something like a rainforest, diversity is key. So biodiversity is something that we're all going on about all the time now, and it's exactly the same for us. So we want a diverse gut bacteria, and we also want a diverse diet, because by eating lots of different kinds of foods, you're getting lots of different nutrients, and you're going to get benefits from all the different ones. So always think variety. So variety in the ingredients, variety in the colours, variety in the types of food, and I would say you probably can't go far wrong if you do that, as long as it's real food. I'm going to put a bit of water in there now. So it's just got, it doesn't cover it, but when it's blended it will be about the same amount of water. So I'm going to whiz that up in a minute. There we go. Just have a look, make sure it's smooth, and it doesn't have to be super smooth. Not if there's a bit of texture in there, that looks fine. So that's going to go in a minute. So let's see how the onions are getting on. Getting there. They're beginning to go translucent. I never used to understand when they said cook till the onions are translucent, but you can see they're just sort of beginning to get not quite see-through, but less opaque. I'm going to cook them for a little bit longer before I start adding the spices and things. Just check the lentils. It's good, they're going nice and slowly, so hopefully we won't have an overflow. They don't take very long to cook, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. What's going to go in there as well is some creamed coconut, so I'll just chop that up while we're waiting for the other stuff to do. Creamed coconut is high in fibre, low in carbohydrate, good stuff. Actually makes a really nice sweet. It's not sweet. It tastes sweet, but just lumps of this, if you fancy something a bit sweet and you don't want to go down the conventional route, really good. Okay, so those onions are looking pretty good now. And then I'll just check the lentils. Oh look, they're just about done. So I can turn that heat off. I'm just going to give it a taste just to make sure. That's okay. So I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to put the coconut in because that can start to melt. That can just sit there while we do the rest. Okay, so we're going to put our spice mix in now. There's probably about 2 tablespoons there. So I'm going to put most of it, as it turns out. Remember, this is a big batch, so you wouldn't need that normally. So it smells nice. And then we'll put just stir that round for a moment, and then we can put that one in, which is our turmeric, ginger, and garlic mix. Give it a lovely colour, as well as flavour and goodness. And that's it really. I'm going to turn the heat off of that, and then I'm going to add this to the lentil mix, and then we'll give it a taste and see if it needs anything else. It will need some salt and some pepper. Stick that in. My bouillon here has gone into a cube. Let's crumble it in. And tip all the onion in there. You could also add spinach to it to, bump up the vegetables, which works very nicely because spinach shrinks down quite small. Got a nice flecks of green in it. So we're trying to maximise our intake of plants in a week or in a day or in a meal. So this one, you count your herbs and spices as plants as well. So in this, we've got onions, leeks, garlic, turmeric, ginger, lentils, coriander, cumin, fenugreek. And by the time, so that makes 9. And then by the time we've got some black pepper and some fresh coriander in, you've got 10, which is perfect. And this is only part of the meal. The rest of the meal is roast beetroot, roast sweet potatoes, and then broccoli rice. So that gets you well up to 15 by the time the spices are added to that, which is pretty good. Right, that I would say that's a nice consistency. If you wanted to make it as a soup, you could add some stock or some more water. And that's quite nice. Just gonna have a taste. I suspect it will need some more coconut. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. I'm going to cook it a bit longer on a low heat. This helps to rinse out this as well, which is good. So you get all of your turmeric and ginger. Don't throw it away. Right, we'll put the oil in as well because that helps with the flavour. Okay. I'll let that melt and then I'll give it another taste. That's pretty good. I'll probably add a little bit more salt to it and some black pepper, and then that's ready to go. When I serve it, I'll put fresh coriander on the top. Still a bit of coconut to melt in there. That'll go. There we are. That's your lentil dal.